Thank you, counsel. The jury has been sworn, the indictment's been read, the defendants pled not guilty. The state is recognized at this time for its opening statement. General?
June the 8th of 2019 is a Saturday. And what you're going to learn throughout this trial that I think probably might go into tomorrow, over the next day or two, is that at that time, Kristen Wilson was engaged to the defendant. And that Saturday started out perfect. The two of them went to dinner. They stayed there for about 3 hours. Kristen's friend was the server there. They had a nice meal. They had some drinks. They talked with friends. They then went back to Kristen's house to let her dog out, regroup for a minute. And then they actually had plans to go out and meet some more friends. You're going to hear from Miss Wilson. She's going to tell you that when they got back to her house that night, she took the dog for a walk. Mr. Paschel stayed inside the home. She's going to tell you that right before she walked back in the house, she stopped in front of her neighbor's house. She texted her friend. She says, "Hey, we're about to leave. We'll be there in a minute." She never made it. She never made it to meet her friends after that. Because what you're going to learn is when she walked back in that house, she was attacked by this defendant. You're going to hear from her how he grabbed her by the back of her head and slammed her head into the hardwood floor repeatedly. You're going to hear how he grabbed her by the back of the neck, drug her around the house, drug her up the stairs. You're going to see where she had blood on her face and was trying to reach for a light switch. You're going to see blood smears on the light switches. You're going to see blood splatter on the wall, dripped on the floor. You're going to hear how she tried to get away and she couldn't. You're going to see scrapes on her knees, scrapes on her elbows, bruises everywhere. Bruises on the back of her neck where he grabbed her when he was slamming her head on the floor. You're going to hear how this happened for what seemed like forever. Ms. Wilson's going to tell you that she blacked out multiple times, lost consciousness because of the injury to her head. And then she's going to tell you that the defendant told her, "Go wash your face." After he took her phone and took her car keys. "Go wash your face." So she did. She was terrified. She just wanted it to stop. And spell your last name, please.
Lauren Gouge, G-O-U-G-E.
We'll have you pull it. Let's see. You might need to, yeah, just because we got to make sure we're getting everything. I'll have you say that one more time.
Lauren Gouge, G-O-U-G-E.
Ms. Gouge, do you know Kristen Wilson, or I guess Kristen Chapman now?
Yes.
And how do you know her?
She's my neighbor 2 doors down.
Did you know her back in June of 2019?
I did.
Judge, at this time, the parties have agreed prior to stipulate to the 911 call.
County 911, where your emergency? I have a neighbor that was beaten. Okay, where I have a neighbor that's been beaten. Where's the person who hit her? He is 2 doors down, in the house, and she's concerned about her dog. She is severely beaten. Does she get an ambulance? Came to my house when she did not need an ambulance. I don't think. She has a head trauma. Okay. So, yeah, we're gonna. Very large knot. Okay.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. Please have a seat.
Go ahead and remove your mask if you want to. Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name?
My name is Kristen Chapman, C-H-A-P-N-A-N, and my maiden name is Wilson, W-I-L-S-O-N.
And when did you get married?
In October of 2019.
And so in June of 2019, were you Kristen Wilson at that point?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, do you know Geoffrey Paschel?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know him?
He is my ex-fiance.
And do you see Mr. Paschel in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you point to him for us?
Yes, he's right there.
And could you just tell us maybe what color shirt he's wearing?
Blue shirt and gray jacket.
And if we could have the record reflect she has identified the defendant.
It was so reflected.
How long were the two of you dating?
A year and a half, and 3 months of that was the engagement.
Okay. So in June, specifically June the 9th of 2019, you all were engaged at that point.
Yes, we were.
Were you living together?
Yes, he had a lot of stuff at my house, but he still had his residence as well.
Okay. And I want to talk to you specifically about the events of June the 9th, 2019, okay? Do you recall that day?
Yes.
Now, I want to back up before the early morning hours. What had the two of you all done the night before?
We had gone to dinner.
And I'm going to have you, maybe you'll just pull that up.
Sorry.
Soft-spoken.
Just keep hitting this trash can. We had gone to dinner at the North Shore Brasserie. We were there for several hours. We had drinks and dinner, and when we left, we went back to my house. We had plans to go meet a friend at Roosters, which is right near my house in Rocky Hill. So we stopped to let my dog out, and I walked her by myself up the street to the cul-de-sac while he stayed at my house. And I returned home. I walked back up the street. I texted my friend Katie and told her that we were leaving and we would see her shortly. She was also on her way there. I remember sending the text message. I remember exactly where I was standing in the street in front of my neighbor's house. And I remember walking back up the driveway. But the next thing I remember, he was beating me.
And when you say he, are you talking about Mr. Paschel?
Yes, Geoffrey.
So just to back up a little bit, do you remember what time it was you all got back to your house?
It would have been around 11 o'clock. Because I texted Katie at 11 o'clock saying we were on our way, so 10:45, 10:30, 10:45.
Okay. And you said you all had dinner and drinks. What were you
Yes.
drinking?
Champagne.
Do you recall how much you had to drink?
I recall that I had 3 glasses of champagne.
Who was driving that night?
I drove.
Okay. And did Mr. Paschel have anything to drink?
Yes.
And what do you recall what he was drinking?
Double whiskey and Cokes.
Okay. And so when you get back in the house, you said, tell us exactly what you remember as soon as you get back into the house after walking the dog.
After coming up my driveway, the next thing I remember, I was on the floor in front of my staircase that leads to the upstairs, and he had me by the back of my head and was hitting my face into the floor, and I was screaming for him to stop.
Okay. Is that all that happened, or?
No, from there, he dragged me up the stairs. It's not quite a split level, but there's like 4 stairs that lead up to the bedroom, and it's hardwood floors, and he was dragging me by my head and by my hair. He had me kind of by the back of the neck, and we went up the stairs towards the bedrooms, and I blacked out again. I lost consciousness.
About how long did all of this take place, if you remember?
If my best estimate would be about 30 minutes.
Okay. And during that time, did you try and get away or anything?
When I was screaming, I was trying to get away from him, but I couldn't. He's too strong. He was holding me down on the ground, and then he was pushing me around, and I could not get away.
And so after the physical attack stopped, what happened?
So I remember going up the stairs, and then that's the last thing I remember. I don't know what happened up there, but there was blood splattered down my bedroom door, so something happened up there. The next thing I remember, I was in the corner of my kitchen, and he was shoving me up against the wall, and then he got me back down on the floor in the kitchen and was hitting my head on the floor in the kitchen, and I lost consciousness again. The next thing I remember, when I regained consciousness, I was sitting on my couch, in my living room. And I was looking at a wall. They've got front windows, and then there's a wall next to it, and there was blood splattered down the wall. I don't even remember being against that wall or it's in a corner that I don't remember being in, but I was sitting on the couch, and my face was dripping blood down my chin and onto my couch. And he was pacing, not saying anything, but just pacing behind the other end of my sectional, which had been overturned, flipped upside down.
And at some point, did you go upstairs to the bedroom?
Yes. Eventually, he stopped pacing, and he told me to go to bed, to get up and go wash my face and go to bed. So he followed me up the stairs into the bathroom, which is right next to my bedroom. And he wouldn't turn the lights on, so I couldn't see my face. It was dark. He made me wash my face. He grabbed a piece of toilet paper and handed it to me and told me to blow my nose to get the blood out, and then he flushed that down the toilet. And then said, go to bed. And I did, because I didn't want it to continue.
And when you say it,
The abuse. I mean, if I told him no or I tried to get away, he was 100% going to start hitting me again, forcing me.
did you have a cell phone or anything at this point?
I did own a cell phone. I didn't know where it was during this whole situation. When I laid down in bed, he had my phone, and he also had his MacBook. He also had his computer. And he sat on the other edge of the bed on the opposite side, and I was pretending to sleep and trying not to lose consciousness. I was just really focused on staying conscious because I knew I had to get away at some point, or I didn't know what was going to happen. So I kept kind of opening my eyes a little bit to look and see what he was doing. And he had my phone. He was in my messages. I saw him in my social media accounts, especially my messages of my social media accounts. He had deleted a bunch of voicemails once I finally got my phone turned back on. It's essentially like he erased every trace of him through my phone. Every message, he deleted our whole text conversation, so I didn't have any of that. And this went on for somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, and I was just trying to stay conscious. Eventually, he had the sound on the phone, so when he turned the power off, like when he locked the screen, I heard it, and I heard him set it down on the bedside table on that side of the bed. And he tried to console me, like came over and put his arm on me and was trying to apologize and touch me, and I told him not to touch me. And as soon as he laid down, stopped moving, and got situated on his side of the bed, I jumped and I ran. I ran straight out the front door, and I went straight to Lauren's house.
And when you ran out the front door, did you grab anything, or did you just take off?
No, I just took off.
Did you have your car keys?
No, he had my car keys.
I'm sorry, say that again.
He had my car keys. I found out later when I got home to get my stuff. He had my car keys.
Okay. And what did you do when you went to Miss Googe's house?
Asked her to call 911.
Okay. And did you wait there until the police came?
Yes, I did.
And did the police come out and take pictures of your injuries?
Yes, they sent a forensics officer to take pictures of the injuries. They'd sent an ambulance as well, I believe, but Lauren ended up taking me to the hospital because it's the hospital she worked at. And the officer said it was okay that she did that, so they let me go with her.
Now, approach it.
Matt?
Ms. Chapman can show you some photos. Look at those for me. And tell me, do those photos fairly and accurately depict the injuries that you sustained that night and everything that you've been talking about?
Yes, they do.
And do these appear to be the photos that were taken in Ms. Googe's kitchen?
Yes, this is Lauren's kitchen.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that these 10 photographs be the next numbered exhibits.
Was being collective or?
I've went ahead and pretty much them just individually, just in case we wanted to talk about any of them.
Okay, so that'll be 3 through 12? Okay, any objection? No. They'll be received.
And can't publish.
You may.
Okay, so the area of your head there, on your forehead, is that, can you tell us how that injury was caused?
That was him hitting the front of my head into the floors in front of the stairs.
Is that another angle of that?
Yes, yes it is.
And then here, tell us what's on your elbow and forearm there.
So my bet, I can only assume this is from being dragged. I have the same marks on, or similar marks on my knees, and it felt like rug burn. So, yeah.
And is that the area of your knees there?
Yes.
And then there. And then, just for purposes of the record, is this your back area?
It is my back, yes.
Again, is that your back?
Yes, it is.
Do you recall how those came to be?
Just being shoved into walls and furniture repeatedly.
Just another side view of your forehead there. Get the lights back on. Did you, so you did go to the hospital, correct?
Yes, I did.
And the hospital?
A concussion.
Sorry, what was that?
A concussion. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize these documents I'm handing you there? You may need to flip off the first page there.
This looks like my medical records from Park West from that night, but I've never seen this before.
Okay.
You can have it, yeah.
Judge, at this time, we would ask that this be
Well, Your Honor,
13.
in this instance, since the witness did not identify those, we would object to their admissibility and ask that they just be marked for ID.
Judge, can we approach?
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And these jurors just saw such a story through those photographs of this alleged victim with that knot on her forehead, as the prosecutor described it, the size of a fist, her bloody lower lip, the bruises on her forearm, her elbow, her leg, and her back. The ones on her back, she said, caused by repeatedly being shoved into furniture. That big knot in the middle of her forehead, she said, being caused by her head being bashed against the floor right by her front set of stairs in her own home.
The court stream was having some technical difficulties. How convenient, as the cross-examination started. But I will have the cross-examination and Geoffrey's response, as well as the verdict, when it comes in, when it becomes available. So be sure you subscribe. But look, in my opinion, there is no excuse for this whatsoever. I don't know what his attorney's going to pull or try to pull, but I mean, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments.